Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's session where we look at the Dynamics 365 Customer Insights Wave Release and how AI is advancing data-driven engagement. So what does that basically mean? Customer Insights is Dynamics marketing tool. It's got a lot of features in it, and we're going to look at how Microsoft is enhancing the solution and then taking it forwards into the modern age. So today you have myself, Scott Warren, Business Development Manager here at Enhance, and our Chief Technical Officer, James Cover, who's going to take you through the content. Just for that bit of housekeeping, so we're going to record the session and it'll be sent to you so you can have a look at the content in your own time after this and get a refresher. We've also got a load of other events and webinars planned across the next couple of months. So make sure you head over to our event page on the website and you'll be able to get yourself registered for all of these events and webinars. Some of them are in person and some of them online. Okay, James, over to you.
Thanks, Scott. So yeah, we're going to run through what's kind of new in Customer Insights. If my screen will go forward, there we go. So what we're looking at here is the elements within Customer Insights and Customer Insights data. Just for a bit of context, the way the wave releases are now working, it's more ripples than big waves. So 2 or 3 years ago, a wave meant every single feature dropped in April or October. Now it is a true wave and lots of ripples throughout the year. So on each feature I'm going to walk through and show you, I'll put a date of the expected release date. Some happen in preview, so I've got some I can show you today. Some just arrive on the date shown. So it's worth kind of understanding how that kind of hangs together. And I'll show you later on just how you kind of upgrade Customer Insights and force the latest versions through, just so you can get access to some of these features. But most of this, it's in the April wave release, but most of it is hitting probably July, August time. So just to caveat that before we kind of roll through and kind of walk through some of these features. So, and just to also caveat aspects, Microsoft have a cheeky habit of occasionally sticking something in the wave release twice. And this is an example of the very first one. We have had SMS within Customer Insights for quite some time now, but actually we've got some more functionality, it's more configured, and also we've got the ability of doing actions based on people interacting with the text message. So it's a little bit strong to call it Copilot powered conversation. In reality, it's looking at how they've interacted with that text message, looking if they've replied and gating the decision based on that. So in the old days, it was very much send the text out, non-interactive. Now we can start looking at some actions about if they've replied, if they've read the text. So it's more insight in terms of what they've done with that text message. So very similar to how we do a digital journey today with kind of email, we're getting the same functionality within text. And interestingly, one of the features I come on to later around message expiration, that's also coming into the text, but I'll cover that more when we kind of get into the actual demo area of what the functionality can do around expiring content. But nice, useful thing. It does require you configure some additional settings to bring your own text provider, but it's a nice feature to play with. Okay, this is interesting, coming out in September. So in reality, this is a feature we've been really struggling with for probably the last couple of years, is the ability to tweak and change the segmentation once a journey has been put live. So as it stands today, once you've built a segment, once you've built a journey, you can't really back out of it. It's live and you'd have to unpublish it, tweak it. So this is a feature you're not really going to notice coming, but it's just going to save you time and money and effort in terms of how you orchestrate elements in the future. So that ability of tweaking the segmentation, maybe you've got the wrong cohort of users, that just makes your life easier. So expect GA in September. We might be able to get a preview of that around the August timeframe, but it's just a nice overarching feature to kind of make it a bit easier for you when you're playing with your marketing list and your segments. Okay. This one, I would have loved to have shown you this, but it's not quite there yet. So, and it's a really, really interesting context for me. So this is every time the end user reads the email, it's going to poke the internet and maybe change the content of that email body based on other areas of the system. So it gives you the ability of dynamically changing the email post delivery. As long as they haven't printed it or taken it offline, it's always going to grab the latest content block. So think about this of you sent an email inviting somebody to an event, and actually the event's passed and they read it 2 months later. It'd be nice to change the wording and the body of the email to even disable and turn off the ability to register an event that doesn't exist anymore. Maybe you're in the non-profit sector and you're trying to nag somebody about raising funds on a target. In this capacity, we'd actually know where they were in their fundraising journey, know what they've raised to date, and maybe change the messaging on a delivered email about what we're expecting to do next. So also around case management, what's the next action? So lots and lots of interesting use cases on this. So I think this is going to be really, really interesting as we kind of move forward in that sort of ability to do something quite clever and stop embarrassing yourself with content that shouldn't be live anymore, and allowing it to kind of change dynamically based on what's happening. Okay, so this one I will kind of show you because it is in preview now. And again, similar theme. If you're building a 20-step journey orchestration with all these different steps to go through, if you're orchestrating that as somebody enters the journey. So imagine if you've got this campaign running for 12 months, every time somebody enters that journey, they start receiving content. But some of that content could have been time bound. So the ability that per email, we can say the validity of if that particular step needs to take place. So quite a useful feature. I'm just going to pop in and actually show you some of it actually working because it's probably more useful to see it that way. So what this is effectively doing here is against every single email body. So for example, here I've got one about future events that we're hosting. That ability to say, actually, we can expire on a specific date time. Say, actually, what's the point in sending my future event email if the content of the email is completely out of date? Or the more interesting one is we can trigger off data sets within the overall trigger of the journey. So that was a bit of a mouthful, but imagine if they've signed up to attend a webinar or signed up to attend an event you're hosting. Now what we can do is look at the date of the event taking place and then turn on or off emails based on how close you are to that event taking place or if that event's already happened. So that gives us lots of functionality here because we can actually drill in, look at the particular record, come in here and actually look at all the different date fields and then start comparing them. So actually, if that particular event was going to start on this particular date, I can then start saying, actually, this needs to happen then there. So quite a nice way of filtering that content as we kind of go through. And just worth pointing out, if I added in a text message block, that functionality is coming to the text message block as well. So it's giving us just a bit more control there when we start to play with this content, because the worst thing you can do is send out old or legacy content that's no longer valid. So that one for me is quite a useful one to kind of walk through. Okay. So next one is out now. It's in the Journey Builder. What I would say is you've always been able to do this, but it was hard work. So in a lot of our sites, we've been using custom triggers and Power Automate connectors, but it meant the marketing journey orchestration was a little bit geeky. You had to do a bit extra, and it made it quite difficult and hard work to kind of build out some of that content, where you'd probably build a flow, build some access. It wasn't the nicest UX and user experience for a marketeer to do some additional data. Where now, what we can actually do on here is, if I come and add in another step on this particular journey and do connectors, we've now got a create record step. So what we can do here is create any table record in the system. Yeah. So just a really, really interesting context here in terms of how we could do it. So there's lots and lots of nice use cases here, whether it's getting them with voting buttons to sign up for an event, or maybe if it was a non-profit, they get them to do create a gift aid declaration off the back of something. So I could come in here and set all of these values and create records. So maybe we've sent them a text message saying, will you sign up for gift aid? Yes, no. We could, off the back of the yes, we could create a record in real time. So it starts bringing that level of interactiveness between an SMS, creating records, or even what link they've clicked on and why they've clicked on that particular link within an email body. So lots of interesting ways. I haven't quite got my head around all the different places we could use it yet, but it kind of shows the kind of art of the possible. So that's a nice additional feature, and you can see here we've got access to every single field on that entity. So quite a nice way of extending out that kind of experience and just different use cases. So it's more of a think of the use case, then we can use the block. Okay. Are we okay on the Q&A panel at the moment, Scott? Are we doing okay?
Yes, all okay so far. So if anyone does have any questions on that, some great examples of how you're going to be able to work a lot more effectively, a lot more efficiently, and a lot more dynamically, I think is probably the word, isn't it? But if you've got any questions, do drop them in the Q&A. We can answer those on the fly.
Again, just a nice thing. It could be simply creating a phone call or a task to make sure you call somebody back, but it's a nice way to do things. So it wouldn't be a Wave release without talking about MCP servers and everything is. So just for the less geeky on this call, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's think of it as magical glue that allows any application to talk to any application using AI in the middle. So we've got MCP servers for sales, for service, for Dataverse. We've got all those currently available, but we're actually going to get a MCP server for customer insights data. So the use case on this is in a fully automated kind of agent flow, we could be going in and asking customer insights data if people are reading emails, if people have done an action, what their lifetime value is. So any data point and any measure we've built in customer insights data, we could be exposing via the MCP server to define what the agent does next. So this one's a bit more edge case. If you've not gone full into autonomous agents in the agent ecosystem, this one's probably 12 months away from being valid for a use case for yourselves. But if you're already on that multi-agent orchestrated journey and asking questions about an individual because something's happening, this is the kind of magical secret sauce effectively that's going to give us some additional functionality in terms of what we can talk to. So this is literally just going to pop up in within Copilot Studio as one of the many model context protocols you've got here. So you can see at the moment I've got contact center, I've got all of the other Dynamics ecosystems. I just don't have one explicitly around customer insights. So at the moment I could say don't do this AI action because they've got a case that I've logged a call. What I can't do is do that same contextual awareness around marketing activities and outbound marketing. So it's just going to give us a bit more control of multi-orchestrated agents. So that's the primary use case behind it. Okay, so, and then this probably is the last feature in Customer Insights that's coming this year. And it's probably been the biggest gap in Customer Insights data, which has stopped us personally adopting and pushing it with clients too much because we were limited in what we could consume from in terms of data sources. So Customer Insights data is effectively a master data management tool. It allows you to orchestrate in maybe sales history data from an ERP system. It could be Shopify data from the web. It could be access from your tills. It could be Wi-Fi data, and unify that into a single picture of what an individual means to the organization. But our current connecting and tooling was effectively limited to a bit of Synapse, a bit of SQL, and Dataverse. So we were, even though it was a master data management platform that didn't have many connectors, is probably the polite way to put it. Now with the Fabric OneLake, effectively anything you've ever reported on will be available as a data source into that MDM solution. So we could start leveraging and pulling in anything you could think of that you popped in a reporting layer into your MDM solution. So really, really interesting. It's kind of and it's an area where it's just going to turn on, and then we can enable additional sources. And those, you're not going to have to build those sources because you've probably already built them as part of your reporting context within your organization. So for me, that just gives us some additional functionality, and it kind of means we can do proper MDM effectively. It gives us more ways of working in terms of how we move forward. So do apologize, it was short and sweet today. Whatever with the customer insights things, most areas that they're big fundamental architectural changes, but on the surface it just looks like 6 new ads. But there's more coming, and we'll expect to see more on the kind of the release planner in the next 6 months as new functionality comes out. So have we had any questions in the Q&A? Scott, are we okay to wrap?
Nothing else has dropped in. So if you do have any questions post this session, you want to get in touch, obviously reach out to your account manager, or if you're not sure who to reach out to, then give us a shout on sayhello@mhance.com. Obviously, we've got some great other webinars and events on the website, so head over to mhance.com as well. Thank you very much for listening.